Counselor Campbell. Counselor Siomo. Counselor Asabi George. Counselor Flaherty. Counselor Jackson. Counselor Lamatina. Counselor Linehan. Counselor McCarthy.
Here.
Counselor O'Malley. Counselor Presley. Counselor Wu.
Present.
And Counselor Zachem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We will proceed. So, come on, guys. It is now my pleasure to introduce it's always a special treat when our clerk comes to start the meetings off right. And after, so our clerk will deliver the invocation, and then Councillor McCarthy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councillors and guests, could everyone please stand?
Good afternoon. O thou who made us one nation out of many people, amidst our diversity of race and tradition and faith, unite us in a common love of freedom. Revive us in a spirit of devotion to the common good, so that we may open new doors to the neglected and oppressed. Cleanse the heart of our nation from that greed which preys upon others. Endow our leaders with wisdom, that they may stand among nations as example of benevolence and exalted justice. Help us to make this land a common workshop of all its people, where all may find their place and work, keen to do their best. Hear these words of the Athenian Pericles. I would have you day by day fix your eyes upon the greatness of your country until you become filled with love for her. And when you are impressed by the spectacle of her glory, reflect that it has been acquired by men and women who knew their duty and had the courage to do it. And these words of Hebrew psalmist, let the people give praise, O God, of all the nations. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag.
Counselor Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Councillor McCarthy. Madam Clerk, could you please mark that Councillor Jackson is present? Maybe a little too much sugar floating around, but happy early St. Patrick's Day, happy early Evacuation Day, and happy belated Pi Day. We'll see how it goes with all these treats in the chamber. We'll start with the approval of the minutes from last meeting. Any objections, edits, amendments? Seeing and hearing none, the minutes stand approved. And we'll start with communications from His Honor the Mayor. Madam Clerk.
Docket number 0414, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend a grant of $400,000 from various donors. The grant will fund programmatic initiatives, including the Immigrant Integration and Empowerment and English for New Bostonians and public events, including Citizenship Day.
Docket 0414 will be assigned to the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities.
Docket number 0415, message and order authorizing the City of Boston to accept and expend a grant of $50,000 for the Hubway Bike Share System expansion, awarded by the Boston Planning and Development Agency to be administered by the Transportation Department. The grant will fund the city's overall efforts to close critical hubway gaps in transit-dependent neighborhoods by adding one station in North Alston, to be matched with a second Hubway station to be funded by other sources.
On docket 0415, I'm going to defer to our chair of the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Transportation as to whether this goes to committee or we suspend and pass.
Madam Chairperson, I would rather have this go to the committee,
Okay,
just so we can be updated with where they are. And
perfect. Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilor Lamatina. Docket 0415 will be assigned to the Committee on Parks, Recreation, and Transportation.
Docket number 0416, message in order to declare surplus city-owned former Public Works Department parcels located at the northeasterly corner of Ritchie Street and Columbus in the Roxbury District, Ward 11, parcel number 00867010, to transfer care, custody, management, and control of said property to the Public Facilities Commission.
Docket 0416 will be assigned to the Committee on Planning and Development.
Docket number 0417, message in order to declare surplus city-owned former Public Works Department parcels located at Willow Court in the Dorchester District, Ward 7, parcel number 035100000, to transfer care, custody, management, and control of said property to the Public Facilities Commission.
Docket 0417 will also be assigned to the Committee on Planning and Development. Reports of public officers and others.
Docket number 0418, communication was received from Brian P. Golden, Director of the Boston Planning and Development Agency, regarding proposed minor modifications to the Charlestown Urban Renewal Plan project, number Mass R-55, with respect to parcel R97.
Docket 0418 will be placed on file. And on to matters recently heard for possible action.
Docket number I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Madam
Sure.
Clerk, could you please read both dockets together under this next section?
Thank you. Docket number 0339, message in order authorizing the City of Boston to submit to the Massachusetts School Building Authority statement of interest for the accelerated repair program for the following schools: Chittick Elementary School, East Boston High School, James Curley K-8, Joyce Kilmer K-8, Marshall/Up Academy K-8, O'Donnell School K-5, Oliver Perry K-8, Russell School K-5, Sumner School K-5, Timothy Middle School, and Tobin School K-8. The statements of interest described and explain the deficiencies and priority categories for which the City of Boston may be invited to apply to the Massachusetts School Building Authority in the future. And docket number 0388, message in order approving appropriations of $9,202,181 for the purpose of paying for the costs associated with roof and boiler replacement projects at the following schools: Boston Latin School, partial boiler replacement; James F. Condon Elementary School, boiler replacement; John W. McCormick Middle School, roof replacement; Paul A. Dever Elementary School, roof replacement; and the William E. Channing Elementary School, boiler replacement. This includes the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto, and for which the City of Boston may be eligible for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, said amount to be expended under the direction of the Public Facilities Department on behalf of the Boston Public Schools.
On dockets 0339 and 0388, Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, Councilor Siomo.
Thank you. We held the hearing concurrently on Monday. Brian McLaughlin, the Chief of Staff, Public Facilities Department, and Carlton Jones from the Boston Public Schools Capital and Facilities Management both testified for both hearings. This is again part of the accelerated repair program. The 0339, it is merely the statement of interest that has been vetted and will be submitted, and the appropriation for the $9 million is another accelerated repair program that was supported by the Mass School Building Authority, and our appropriation will be eligible for a reimbursement of approximately 65.47%. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Siomo. So we have two committee reports on one for each of these dockets. We'll take them one at a time. The first one, just to clarify, is yes.
The appropriation will require 2 votes.
So the first docket 0339 will be a motion to vote and pass the statement, the order authorizing submitting the statement of interest, and the second one will be the first of 2 readings, so roll call vote for the appropriation. Is that correct? Okay, great. So Councillor Siomo at this time moves for acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 0339. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0339 has been passed. And again, for docket 0388, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll for the first reading?
Thank you, Madam President. Counselor Baker. Yes. Counselor Baker, yes. Counselor Campbell. Counselor Campbell, yes. Counselor Siomo. Counselor Siomo, yes. Counselor Asabi George. Counselor Asabi George, yes. Counselor Flaherty. Counselor Flaherty, yes. Counselor Jackson. Counselor Jackson, yes. Counselor Lamatina. Counselor Lamatina, yes. Counselor Linehan. Counselor Linehan, yes. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor McCarthy, yes. Counselor O'Malley. Counselor O'Malley, yes. Counselor Presley. Yes. It's yes. Right. Okay. Counselor Wu. Yes. President docket for 0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Docket 0388 has received a unanimous first reading
And assigned further.
and is assigned for further action.
I hear that.
Motions, orders, and resolutions.
Docket number 0419, Counselor Asabi George and Presley offer the following resolution in support of the Senate Bill 257 HD 3564, an act providing immediate child care assistance to homeless families.
Councillor Sabi George, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to ask that we suspend Rule 12 so I can add Councillor Campbell and Councillor Wu as original sponsors to this resolution, since we are all working together on the child care briefing series.
Is there any objection to making it the full Fab 4? No. All right. Please continue.
Thank you. I would also like to thank Horizons for Homeless Children and all of the advocates for their work on this resolution and on the State House legislation. This resolution focuses on Senate Bill 257, filed by Senator Linda Dorsina Forey, and House Docket 3564, filed by Representative Marjorie Decker, otherwise known as an act providing immediate child care assistance to homeless families. More than 3,000 children ages 0 to 5 currently live in shelter in Massachusetts, and more than a third of those children are living in shelter in the city of Boston. The average age for a child living in shelter is just 19 months old. When a family enters the state shelter system, they are coming from a period of crisis. Housing insecurity, emotional trauma, and many other factors make it easy to understand why so many adults are not able to maintain employment during this transition. Once a family is in shelter, their primary focus is regaining stability. They write a housing plan, apply for subsidies, and begin step by step to rebuild. Access to childcare is a major barrier for families experiencing homelessness to finding stability. Half of the adults in shelter in Boston have highlighted it as a major obstacle to finding employment. However, under the existing system, a family will only have access to a child care subsidy if they can demonstrate that they already have a job or are in school. It just doesn't make sense. This new legislation would make sure that every family that enters the state EA shelter system is immediately eligible for child care. I want to thank Representative Decker and especially our Boston delegation, Senator Linda Dorsina Forey, for their leadership. I urge all of you to sign on to this resolution today and to call our colleagues in government at the State House and ask them to sign on as well to help usher this legislation through the House and the Senate to the governor's desk, where he will hopefully sign it into law. This is an urgent matter, and I move for suspension of the rules and passage of this resolution today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sabi George. Councillor Presley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. I thank the lead sponsor for her thoughtful and tenacious advocacy around supporting our homeless families, and am glad that we're all co-sponsoring on this. This came out of our first policy briefing on early education and care, specifically focused on homeless families, and what's come out of it is exactly what we had hoped, which is instruction, prescriptive recommendations from the advocates, from the providers, and from the impacted families. And this was one of the recommendations that came out of that. So I'm proud to co-sponsor this resolution in support of state bills filed by Senator Linda Dorsina-Fori and Representative Decker. We thank them for their leadership. This is really a common sense bill that allows families in homeless shelters to immediately be eligible for childcare. Parents experiencing homelessness cite lack of access to affordable early education and care as a primary barrier to gaining employment. We also know that early education and care is critical for developing brains, and it provides consistency for children experiencing unpredictable living situations. Reforming this policy is the very best, but also one of the most critical things, the very least, but also one of the most critical things we can do to support families trying to build housing and financial security. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Presley. Councillor Campbell, would you like to comment on this?
Just quickly. First of all, I just want to thank Councillor Sabi George, Councillor Presley, and President Wu for the partnership. I don't need to say anymore. I think one thing that's incredible about this is we had our first hearing, and we're immediately taking action to support families and support the work that's happening at the State House. So thank you, Councillor Sabi George, for taking the lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Madam Clerk, could you please add Councillor Baker's name? Please add Councillor Siomo, Councillor Flaherty, Councillor LaMattina, Councillor Jackson, Councillor Linehan, Councillor McCarthy, Councillor O'Malley, Councillor Zachem. And at this time, Councillor Sabi George moves for suspension of the rules and adoption of docket 0419. All in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Docket 0419 has been adopted. I'm informed by the clerk there are no late filed matters for either the agenda or the consent agenda. So we'll move on to green sheets if anyone would like to pull a matter that is on the green sheet. Seeing and hearing none, we'll pause briefly for any statements or announcements. Okay, once again, Councillor O'Malley, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. This past August or September, I had the incredible honor of attending a speech by former Vice President Joe Biden at the EMK Institute. I think some of you were there, on his cancer moonshot. And while I was there, I happened to be sitting next to a woman named Fionnuala Quinlan, who is the Consul General for Ireland, happens to live in South Boston, works in Boston. And we hit it off, and we were talking about the fact that while we do many wonderful flag raisings in the city and often sponsored by us, in my opinion, and some members who've served longer may correct me, I don't know that we've ever done an Irish flag raising. Well, that will change this Friday. I hope you will all join me we're going to begin at 11 a.m. in the Curley Room. The Consul General is coming, as well as some of her colleagues. There's a minister from Ireland who's going to be in town as well. He'll be joining us. We will have delicious food. We're going to have some Irish step dancing. We're going to have some music, some great singing. Hopefully we can impress upon Councillor Linehan to lend his pipes to some songs. And then at noon, we're going to do the flag raising. Depending on the weather, we'll either be out in that sort of third floor plaza under the overhang, or we'll be out. But that's where the flag raising will be. So I think this will be a wonderful opportunity to celebrate a day where we are all Irish, and it'll be a great raising of the flag. So I hope you can all join us. Program begins at 11. We'll probably do speaking around 11:30, and then 12 will be the flag raising itself this Friday, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day and Evacuation Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Malley. Anyone else? Okay. This time, if all councillors and guests could please rise. And we will adjourn today's meeting in memory of the following individuals. For Councillor LaMattina, Anthony F. Tony Visconti. For Councillor McCarthy, John M. Tashira and Richard Berger. For Counselor Presley, Jane Elizabeth Godfrey. For Counselors Flaherty and Lamatina, Alfred Carrier II. And for all counselors, Catherine Morgan O'Flaherty, our Corporation Counsel Jean O'Flaherty's mother. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Chair moves that when the council adjourns today, we do so in memory of the aforementioned individuals, scheduled to meet again Wednesday, March 22nd at 12 noon. All in favor of adjournment say aye. Thank you, Councilor Malley. All opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Council is adjourned.